We want to invite each of you to Acts Ministries 2020 Virtual Women's Conference. We're celebrating 30 years of ministry here, and for each decade we have a speaker. So we are preparing for not only the Ministries Conference, but we have a concert which will include our featured guest artist, Jacqueline Carr. So join us and don't miss this. Share it with someone and invite someone online. You can go to our website, actsministriesonline.org, for more information.
Welcome to the Word to Empower podcast, featuring Bishop Frank Stewart, pastor of the Acts Ministry in Conway and North Little Rock. And now, Pastor Stewart.
Welcome back to the Acts Ministry broadcast again. We're talking about relationship. And this week, God is challenging us through His Word. And the word that we started off the week talking about with the woman with the issue of blood, a story that we all know about. This woman had an issue of blood, and we've been looking at one of the aspects we miss, and that is she wanted to get healed, and after she got healed, she was just going to disappear in the crowd. Now, we understand that she had a disease. She wasn't supposed to be out in public, and she risked her life, but she's healed now. Jesus risked His life for a relationship. She risked her life to get healed because healing was important to her because she was dying. We talked about how we receive from God, but after we've received from Him, we don't stay for relationship. In Matthew chapter 7, we talked about how they draw nigh to me with their lips, the Lord said, but their heart is far from me. And what He was talking about was in the last days, in judgment, they would tell God what they did. We did many wonderful works. We cast out demons. We prophesied. We taught in your name. And He's going to say, I didn't know you. I never knew you. Now, that's important. Not just that I lost connection. I never knew you. You never had intimacy with me. So we talked about that. And we talked about just them seeking Him for the fish and the loaves. And after they got full, they was done. And how in this generation, we're trying to get us to see. And He's challenging us for a closer and a more intimate relationship with Him. In this generation that we live in, it is a generation of pleasure. It is a generation of instant gratification. It is a generation that after I am satisfied, I'm done. It's a generation that is void of commitment and lack commitment, that after I have gratified myself, after I've satisfied myself, I am done. Very important for us to recognize that, very important for us to see that. But today, I think He takes it to another level. And this is in Hosea chapter 4 and verses 13 and 14. And I want to read this in the Living Bible so you can see it and understand it. It is one of the most powerful scriptures concerning relationships, I believe, in the Bible. In Hosea chapter 4, verse 13, it says this: they sacrifice to idols on the tops of mountains. They go up into the hills to burn incense in the pleasant shade of oaks and poplar and sumac trees. There your daughters turn to prostitution and your brides commit adultery. But why should I punish them? For you men are doing the same thing, sinning with harlots and temple prostitutes. Fools, your doom is sealed, for you refuse to understand. Very powerful verse. Very powerful. What God is saying to Israel, I'm not going to punish your spouses when they're unfaithful. I'm not going to do that because you are doing me the same way. Now that's Hosea chapter 4, verses 13 and 14. He's talking about idolatry. Anytime we put anything before God. Now in this idol worship, what is going on in idol worship here is that, of course, they seal their worship with sexual promiscuity. They seal their worship with sexual addictions and sexual acts. And God says, yes, they're doing that, but I'm not going to punish them because you do me the same way. Now, that's powerful. Just think about that. And this is the God of the universe This is the God of the Bible, and this is him talking. Now, in the New King James Version, it says it like this: I will not punish your daughters when they commit harlotry, nor your brides when they commit adultery. For the men themselves go apart with harlots. You hear what the Lord is saying? Because he's into relationship. So he says that I'm not going to punish them, because in the relationship that you have with me, you're doing me the same way. How do we do God like that?
Stay tuned for more of Frank Stewart. And now for some special announcements.
Thanks for partnering with the Acts Ministries. We value your service and your donations. That's why we've made it easy to make contributions to support our ministry. Simply go to your web browser and click the search bar and type in actsministriesonline.org. Then click Donate Online. It's really that easy. For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242. That's Simple Give.
And now, more of Pastor Frank Stewart.
How do we treat God like that and be so unfaithful to him? He's looking at relationship. We receive from him every day. There's not a day on the planet that you live that you have not received from God in abundance. It's not a day that we live that we do not receive from God something we can never pay for. What would be the price of one breath of air? One breath of air. Can you imagine what most men would pay if they had the money for just one breath of air? Just one breath. It's priceless. Priceless. There are many rich men in the grave today that if money could have bought just one more minute of life, they would still be here today. Still here today. Well, when you look at what the Lord Jesus Christ is saying to us, he is saying that I want relationship. And I've blessed you. I've brought you out. And this is why over and over in the Bible, you hear the Lord referring back to bringing them out of Egypt, how he blessed them to come out of Egypt. And he brought Israel out because he chose them. And even in the New Testament, we're the bride of Christ. Now, I think I said a few weeks ago that we're in a generation that is engaged to Jesus, but they're sleeping in the bed with the devil. Engaged to him, but they're unfaithful to him. So here it is in black and white in the word of the Lord. Here in Hosea 4:14, he says, I will not punish them because you are doing me the exact same way that they are doing you. So how do we do that? How do we be unfaithful to God as a woman or a man would be unfaithful in a relationship? That is the very foundation of salvation. It's not a one-time act. It's not a one-time act. God doesn't look at it like that. Neither is marriage a one-time act. Once you get married, you're not supposed to just be faithful for that moment, that day, but it requires faithfulness and commitment, the entire length of the marriage. And the Bible talks about until death do we part. So here's God who is committed unto us. He's committed. I mean, when you give your only begotten son, when he hang on the tree and been beaten and disfigured, and he gives his life, that's commitment. You want to see commitment? Look at the cross. Look at the cross. If you ever want to know what commitment look like, look at the cross. Look at Jesus. That's total commitment. Jesus was all the way in. All the way in. He was totally all the way in committed to man. But here in Hosea, the Lord says that these people, they were not committed to him. And since they were not committed to him, he was under no obligations to punish the people that were not committed to them. Now watch this. I want you to see this, because it is inferred and it's implied that they come to Jesus. They come to God and they're saying, well, our brides are doing this, and they're looking for him to punish them. But he says, no, I'm not going to. Now, how unfair is that? We want to punish people who are unfaithful or not committed to us where we're not committed to God. Do you see that? Do you see that? And this is the point that we missed, that God is alive. He's not just some big ball of fire. He's alive. He has feelings. He wants a personal relationship with every person on the planet. And because he's God and because he's omniscient and he's omnipresent, that means he knows everything and he's in every place to the point where the very hairs of our head are all numbered. That means God can treat every individual in the world, all of the billions of people in the world. God can treat every one of them, every one of us, like we are an only child. Why is that important? That's important because if he couldn't do that, it would be impossible to have a one-on-one relationship with God, a one-on-one relationship, not a second-hand relationship. See, the second-hand relationship will not do. He says, depart from me. I don't know you. I never knew you. I didn't know you. You know, you say you know me, but I don't know you. Now, you have to understand, if God says that, he's saying we've never had an intimate relationship with one another. That's what he is saying to us. So here with these men of Israel, they expecting punishment and judgment, and God says, no, you're doing me the same way. Can you imagine what that felt like? Can you imagine how their eyes was open? Because most of the time we think that God just put up with anything, and our favorite saying is that God understands. He understands. He understands. Brothers and sisters, I want to let you know that he does understand. He understands more than what we want him to understand. He understands that if we obey him, his power living inside of us doesn't make us perfect. But one thing it does, it gives us power not to practice the sin and the unfaithfulness to God. Can you be unfaithful to a spirit, to an eternal spirit? Absolutely. Absolutely. Paul teaches us that we can grieve the Spirit of God. Not only can we grieve the Spirit of God, like many times we do, we can quench the Spirit of God. We can cut it off. We can block the flow. We can block the flow of God in our lives. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to flow in our lives. He wants to come and abide in us. He don't want to come and leave. He comes to stay. And that is relationship. Relationship. He's a God of relationship. And that's one thing that we must understand and we must know if we're going to please him. Because without relationship, we can't please him. We can't please him. What do you mean you can't please him? It takes faith to please God. And the kind of faith and believing he's talking about is relationship.
For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242.
The Acts Church in North Little Rock is located at 1224 Franklin Street. Bible study is each Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. For more information, go to actsministriesonline.org or give us a call at 501-329-2055.
Thank you for tuning in to the Acts Ministry Podcast. The Acts Church is located at 1423 England Street in Conway and 1224 Franklin Street in North Little Rock, Arkansas. Tune in each day to hear an inspiring word from Pastor Frank Stewart.
We want to invite each of you to Acts Ministries 2020 Virtual Women's Conference. We're celebrating 30 years of ministry here, and for each decade we have a speaker. So we are preparing for not only the Ministries Conference, but we have a concert which will include our featured guest artist, Jacqueline Carr. So join us and don't miss this. Share it with someone and invite someone online. You can go to our website, actsministriesonline.org, for more information.